Let me tell you something that changed my life. Discipline is not punishment, it's preparation. It's not restriction, it's refinement. Some of you are praying for breakthrough, for next level, for elevation, but you haven't yet realized that the key to all of it is discipline. Discipline is not just a good idea, it's the divine bridge between your current reality and your God-given destiny. It's the line in the sand that separates wishing from walking, hoping from harvesting, and dreaming from doing. Too many people think that just because they've got a vision, they're ready for the victory. But let me tell you something, vision without discipline is just a fantasy dressed up like faith. And God didn't call you to fantasize, He called you to fulfill. You see, everybody wants the reward. Everybody wants the platform, the influence, the abundance, the legacy. But the real question is, are you willing to build the bridge that gets you there? That bridge is spelled DISCIPPLINE. It's what you build brick by brick, decision by decision, day by day. It's what you do when nobody's watching, when motivation is gone, and when the only thing that keeps you going is your why. I'll never forget when I first started in business and ministry. I had the passion, I had the fire, but I also had a lot of frustration because I kept trying to skip the process. I thought if I just prayed hard enough, doors would swing open. And yes, prayer moves mountains, but God showed me something deeper. He doesn't bless talent alone, He blesses structure. And structure is built through discipline. It's like having the keys to a Rolls Royce, but refusing to learn how to drive. Your purpose is powerful, but without discipline, you won't know how to handle it. You'll keep crashing into inconsistency. You'll stall out in procrastination, and you'll spend your life circling the same mountain, wondering why your promise hasn't shown up yet. Let me make it plain. Discipline is what prepares you to walk in what you've been praying for. It's the training ground for the throne. David was anointed king, but he still had to fight lions and bears in private before he ever faced Goliath in public. Joseph had a dream, but he still had to survive a pit, a prison, and betrayal before he ruled the palace. Their calling was real, but it was discipline that carried them to it. So many people are waiting on God to open a door, but God is waiting on you to build the foundation. He's not trying to withhold anything from you. He's trying to protect you from a promotion your character can't carry. Discipline is the proof that you're serious about the promise. It's saying, God, I won't just shout about the dream, I'll sweat for it. I won't just worship in the spotlight, I'll work in the shadows. And here's the truth that changes everything. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, every time you choose obedience over ease, every time you stay focused when distractions are loud, you are building that bridge. You're getting stronger, you're getting wiser, you're getting ready, because the only difference between the person who arrives at their calling and the one who doesn't is that one of them built the bridge called discipline and walked across it. We've got to stop thinking that success is some kind of mystery. It's not magic, it's not luck, not even timing. It's habits. Your life today is the sum total of the decisions you made yesterday repeated over and over again, and your tomorrow that's going to be built on the habits you choose today. Because your habits are not just what you do, they're shaping who you become. They are carving the framework of your future, one routine at a time. Let me say it plain. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. Everybody wants something great. Everybody has a dream, but it's not the dreamers who get rewarded, it's the discipline. You can write vision boards all day long, but if your daily habits don't align with that vision, then you're just decorating a fantasy. I've coached people who said they wanted to build wealth, but they never budgeted, never saved, never studied the principles of money. I've talked to leaders who said they wanted to grow spiritually, but they didn't pray, didn't study, didn't seek. And I had to be honest with them because I've been there myself. At one point I had big dreams, but small habits. And that gap between what I wanted and what I practiced, that's where frustration lives, that's where people quit, that's where purpose gets postponed. But when I learned to get serious about my habits, everything shifted. I stopped waiting for opportunities and started preparing for them. I started waking up earlier, writing things down, being intentional with my words, with my thoughts, with my actions. And slowly but surely, the harvest started to come. Not all at once, but in stages, because God honors faithfulness. He honors stewardship. And discipline is what gives you the strength to steward what you've been given. Here's the thing. Harvest doesn't come because you prayed for it. It comes because you planted for it. It comes because you watered it, you nurtured it, you waited for it. That's what habits are. They're your spiritual and practical irrigation system. You can't have a fruitful life if you keep sowing seeds of laziness, inconsistency, and procrastination. And don't tell me it's hard. Of course it's hard. Greatness costs something, but it's a lot harder to live with regret than it is to live with the weight of discipline. Every time you choose to do what's right over what's easy, you are shaping a life that God can bless. You're setting the stage for miracles to manifest. Because when preparation meets opportunity, favor flows. So take a close look at your life and ask yourself, what am I doing every day that's building the future I say I want? Are your habits helping or hurting your destiny? Are you feeding your faith or feeding your fears? Because you can't ask God for harvest and keep planting weeds. Discipline doesn't just show up in big moments. It's born in the small, invisible ones. It's in how you manage your mornings, how you spend your time, how you talk to people, how you think when nobody's looking. Because what you do consistently, not occasionally, determines the life you're going to live. Your habits shape your harvest. So make them holy, make them excellent, make them aligned with your purpose. Because your future isn't waiting for you to feel inspired. It's waiting for you to get disciplined. You don't wake up one day disciplined. You don't stumble into structure. You don't trip over excellence. You decide your way into it. That's why mastering discipline doesn't start with some massive transformation. It starts with one powerful, personal, unwavering decision, and then another, because every disciplined life is built one decision at a time. We've got people waiting on a feeling to move, waiting for motivation to hit, waiting for clarity, waiting for God to write it in the clouds. Let me help you today. Discipline is not emotional, it's intentional. If you wait to feel like being disciplined, you'll wait your whole life. Discipline is when your decisions are so aligned with your destiny that your emotions no longer get a vote. There was a time when I let my feelings run the show. If I didn't feel like working, I didn't work. If I didn't feel like showing up, I didn't show up. I was letting inconsistency drive while destiny sat in the back seat. But I learned that feelings are indicators, they are not leaders. And if you let them lead, they will take you straight to average, straight to regret, straight to missed potential. See, decisions are sacred. They are powerful. God gave you a will for a reason. You have the authority to choose what kind of life you will build. Every decision is a seed, and over time, seeds turn into systems. Systems turn into seasons, and seasons turn into stories. So if your story's not reading how you want it to, go back and examine your decisions. You say you want to be successful, but do your decisions reflect that? You say you want to be used by God. Do your daily choices align with that calling? Because here's the truth. You can't pray your way out of a decision you refuse to make. If you want to be disciplined, you've got to choose it. Before the morning alarm goes off, before the distraction shows up, before the pressure hits, make the decision to walk in discipline before the test ever arrives. Discipline starts when you decide that who you're becoming is more important than what you feel. When you decide that long-term purpose outweighs short-term pleasure. When you decide that obedience is more valuable than convenience. That's when you stop making decisions based on your comfort and start making them based on your calling. And don't think it's just about big decisions either. Sometimes it's the little ones, the ones no one sees, the ones that look insignificant, but those are the ones that build the muscle, Those are the ones that shape your mindset. If you can win the private decisions, the public rewards will follow. The enemy doesn't need to destroy you if he can just distract you. He doesn't need to take you out if he can convince you to stay comfortable. But when you master your decisions, you take the power back. You take the pen and start writing the story God gave you, the grace to live. You start building the kind of life that's not only blessed, but unshakable. So the next time you're faced with that crossroads, the easy path or the right path, remember, discipline isn't a gift you're born with. It's a decision you keep choosing, and the more you choose it, the more it chooses you. Let's get something straight. Pain is part of the process. You don't grow without pressure. You don't elevate without endurance. You don't become who you were called to be without walking through some discomfort. But here's what I've learned, and I need you to catch this deep in your spirit. Pain is temporary, but regret, that thing will haunt you for a lifetime. See, the enemy wants you to focus on how hard it is right now so you'll quit on what's possible later. He wants you to magnify the pain so much that you abandon the purpose. But pain is just a visitor. It doesn't come to stay. It's a teacher, not a tenant. It shows up to stretch you, refine you, and toughen you for what God has already prepared on the other side. You can survive pain. What you can't easily survive is the slow erosion of your potential caused by a life of compromise. That quiet whisper of what if, that ache of knowing you had the chance to be more, do more, live more, and you let it slip because discipline was too inconvenient, because commitment felt too costly, because obedience didn't feel good in the moment. I've sat across from people with tears in their eyes, not because of what life did to them, but because of what they didn't do with the life they were given. They were stronger than they acted, more gifted than they pursued, more anointed than they ever walked in, but they let the fear of pain or the craving for ease keep them from building what God put inside them. Make it plain. Pain has a purpose. The pain of discipline, the early mornings, the tough decisions, the consistent action when no one claps for you, that's the pain that pays off. That's the pain that produces peace, that opens doors, that prepares you to carry greatness. That's the kind of pain that becomes part of your testimony. But the pain of regret, that's the weight you carry when you look back and realize you let too many moments pass you by. When you see that you had the tools but didn't use them, had the time but wasted it, had the calling but chose comfort instead. Regret is heavy. It doesn't just sit on your shoulders, it sits on your soul. So here's what I had to decide, and what I'm challenging you to decide. I'd rather sweat now than suffer later. I'd rather stretch in this season than stay stuck for a lifetime. I'd rather feel the sting of sacrifice than the silence of missed opportunity. And if you truly believe God has called you to something greater, then you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Discipline hurts sometimes, but it heals, it builds, and it multiplies. And every time you push through, you chip away at regret's grip on your future. You declare with your actions that this pain is not going to stop me, it's going to shape me. You've got what it takes. Don't trade the rest of your life for a moment of ease. Don't settle for temporary comfort and end up with a permanent question mark. The pain will pass, the rewards will remain, but regret will remind you of what could been. Unless you choose now to act like what God put in you is worth fighting for. Destiny is not something you stumble into by accident. It's not luck. It's not fate. It's not just something that happens because you're a good person or because you prayed a good prayer. Destiny is built day by day with discipline, not weekly inspiration, not occasional hustle, daily, deliberate, disciplined action. That's the price. That's the pattern. You've got a calling on your life. You've got purpose in your bones, but none of it will ever be fulfilled without consistency. God doesn't reward potential, he rewards preparation. And preparation requires that you do the right things even when you don't feel like it, even when nobody claps, even when it's hard, lonely, or slow. That's what separates people who talk about destiny from people who walk in it. I can't tell you how many folks I've seen with world-class talent but no traction because they were only disciplined when it was convenient. But destiny doesn't wait for your mood to line up. It waits for your movement. You've got to move when it's raining, move when it's dry, move when you're tired, move when you're unsure. That's discipline. It's a decision to show up and sow even when the soil doesn't look promising because you believe in the harvest God promised you. I remember when I was building my business and ministry from the ground up, there were days I was discouraged, days I felt overlooked, days when the results didn't reflect the effort. But I showed up anyway, I did the work, I spoke the truth, I refined the message, I studied, I prayed, I invested. Because I knew my destiny wasn't going to manifest through convenience, it was going to be constructive through consistency. And don't you let the enemy lie to you and say that small steps don't matter. Daily discipline might look small, but it's stacking power in the spirit. Every day you stay focused, every day you steward your time, every day you choose vision over distraction, you are honoring the assignment on your life. You are becoming the kind of vessel that God can trust with influence, impact, and increase. It's not about perfection, it's about alignment. Are your daily choices aligned with where you say you want to go? Because your destiny will not adjust itself to fit your excuses. It's going to require the version of you that chooses structure over sloppiness, that chooses excellence over ease, that chooses purpose over preference. Let me say it like this. Your dream is waiting on your discipline. It's waiting on you to be consistent in prayer, in planning, in practice. You can't expect divine favor to flow through a lazy vessel. You've got to be faithful with what's in your hand before you can receive what's in God's. Discipline isn't glamorous, but it's glorious when it matures. It transforms you. It trains your flesh to submit. It teaches your mind to focus. And it builds a foundation strong enough to hold the weight of the destiny you've been praying for. So don't just desire the outcome, desire the grind that produces it. Show up every day like it matters, because it does. Your destiny demands it. Your future depends on it, and God is watching what you do in the dark before he reveals you in the light. Let your discipline speak for you. Let it prophesy your promotion. Let it build a legacy that excuses could never touch.